Did you know? Sonic Heroes holds the Guinness World Record for the most playable characters in a platform game, with 12 characters total. This is thanks to the game's team-based gameplay, which has 3 characters being controlled at once. The focus on team-based play was partly a response to the Sonic Adventure titles and their various gameplay styles. The game's director Takashi Iizuka felt that having Adventure 1 and 2's gameplay change drastically between characters limited their audience to hardcore gamers. The title Sonic Heroes was chosen to distance Heroes from the Sonic Adventure games. If Heroes was titled Sonic Adventure 3 instead, gamers who didn't play the first 2 adventures might have been discouraged from buying it. Heroes was also streamlined to the point of excluding fan-favorite features such as the Chow Garden. These side quests were removed so that nothing distracted from the main game and hurt its pacing. The bosses in Heroes were specifically designed to flee from players. This was done to keep the gameplay between the main stages and the boss battles consistent. In past Sonic games, the player would run at high speeds until encountering a boss, where the game would come to a halt. Accommodating new players was a large concern for the team, as Heroes was the series' first true multi-platform game. Sonic Team licensed the Renderware engine to make porting Heroes to the GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox easier. The team also hoped that using the same engine would make the various ports comparable. Despite this, the PS2 version of Heroes was notably lower in quality than its counterparts. The PS2's weaker performance meant that Heroes suffered from a worse frame rate, as well as aliasing. Iizuka believed they could have made the game run better if it was built from the ground up to run on the PS2. The designers' focus on accessibility affected the game's visuals and story as well. Critics noted that level themes in Heroes were more creative than either of the adventure games. In an interview with Electronic Gaming Monthly, Iizuka explained that previous 3D Sonic games were constrained by story requirements, as levels had to fit a coherent narrative. Heroes lacked an involved story, so its levels were free of requirements and could be more imaginative. Iizuka apparently wanted to make a 3D pinball stage like Casino Park as early as Sonic Adventure, but couldn't find a way to make it fit the game's world. Sonic Heroes saw the return of the Chaotix crew, a team that had made their only appearance in the Sega 32X game Knuckles Chaotix. It too featured team-based gameplay, with 2 characters being tethered to one another at all times. As the characters perfectly fitted the Sonic Heroes' team-based gameplay, Sonic Team decided to reuse them. However, the current incarnation of the team is very different from their debut. Originally, the group wasn't a detective agency, SBO wasn't a ninja, and Charmy the Bee was described as being surprisingly sophisticated. This change can be attributed to Sonic Team never having anything to do with the Chaotix's original portrayals, as Knuckles Chaotix was developed by a different internal team at Sega. In Iizuka's mind, Sonic Team weren't just reviving past characters, but essentially making new characters using old designs. Interestingly, Charmy's revised personality resembles his portrayal in the UK tie-in comic, Sonic the Comic, which was made almost 9 years earlier. The comic's version of Charmy had a tendency to annoy his teammates with bizarre mannerisms and a hyperactive personality. This is similar to his appearance in Heroes, where he is described as a scatterbrained funny kid. Cream the Rabbit had a complicated entrance to the series. Cream was planned to debut in Heroes, but made her playable premiere in Sonic Advance 2, over a year before the release of Heroes. She was added in order to make Sonic Advance 2 more distinct from the first Sonic Advance game. This also let Sega introduce Cream before she appeared in the first episode of the anime Sonic X. Tails' voice actor, William Corkery, was only 10 years old when Heroes was released, making him the youngest actor ever to play a character in the Sonic series. His sister Emily also lent her voice to the game at only 14 years old, playing Charmy Bee. Their father, Bill Corkery, was also the voice of SBO the Chameleon. While Team Chaotix's Team Blast may sound unintelligible, each player is actually singing their own distinct lines. The vocals either cut each other off or get drowned out by sound effects. Their Team Blast's presentation may also be a nod from an unused idea from Sonic 1, where Sonic and Vector played in a band for the game's sound test. An early version of Sonic Heroes' Attract Mode video can be found in Sonic Mega Collection Plus. The cinematic is a work in progress, with the visuals switching between finished and incomplete animation. It also features an unfinished version of the game's titular song. This version has no lyrics written, with singer Johnny Joeli instead scatting the tune. Unused files also hint at several changes during Heroes' production. In the retail version of Heroes, Team Rose and Team Chaotix only play through small segments of full levels. But it seems this wasn't always the case. Dialogue also exists for Mystic Mansion that alludes to a room full of doors and switches. However, no such room exists in Heroes. In the final game, using Team Blast during battles will revive fallen teammates. But unused audio suggests that at some point, the Team Blast could only be used if all 3 characters were still active. Unused lines also hint that the Metal Madness fight was planned to be very different. The boss would have wielded additional powers, such as the ability to turn invisible. There's also a mistranslated line in Sonic Team's version of Final Fortress. After pressing the self-destruct button in the first area of the game, Tails will ask, "Wonder why it's self-destructed?" The line doesn't make much sense, as Tails advises the player to hit the self-destruct switch beforehand. In the Japanese script, Tails instead asks why Dr. Eggman would make the self-destruct switch so easily accessible, a joke at the expense of the level design. In Super Hard Mode, Knuckles asks Tails if he can handle the stormy weather, and Tails admits that he's a little afraid of it. This is potentially a reference to the 1993 Sonic the Hedgehog OVA, in which Tails was astrophobic. One of the most unusual details of the game lies within its instruction manual. According to the booklet, Dr. Robotnik is both a romanticist and a feminist. Another secret can be found while playing as Team Dark. If the player is currently controlling a character other than Rouge, and looks at her in first-person view, she will turn to them and wink. Did you also know that the Shadow the Hedgehog game was made after Sega got requests from fans to give Sonic a gun? Or that two of the game's bosses, Blue Falcon and Black Bull, share their names with vehicles from Nintendo's F-Zero series? For more Sonic facts, check out the DidYouKnowGaming video on Shadow the Hedgehog. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like this video, give it a like and a share. And if you like video game characters with hair, as well as good writing, music, and animation, you should also check out A Fox in Space, a Star Fox series by Frederick Fox. More episodes of that coming soon.